Howdy, hey y'all, Allison here.
And Peyton, I'm also here.
What are we doing today, Peyton?
We are doing a Christmas-themed Rick Riordan video. In past years, we've done like a Christmas special. This one's kind of like more tame.
More chill.
More chill.
We already did a Christmas special, but one of our fans asked for a more Rick Riordan-related Christmas special, and I live to please. So, today's video is about 12 hot takes, like the 12 Days of Christmas. But these are hot takes about Rick Riordan books, and oh boy, are they spicy.
Oh.
So without any further ado, let's get started-o-roo.
Spoiler alert!
So hot take number 1 is that neither of us think that The Lightning Thief is a good starting off book when emerging into the Riordanverse.
Yeah, I had a kind of unique experience with not just The Lightning Thief, but with like PJO in general.
With Rick Riordan books in general.
Yeah. I tried getting into Percy Jackson when I was in like 6th grade, and I got to like the first 2 chapters and I was like, don't come for me. No, come for me because it's a hot take. I was like, this is boring. As a kid, like, I loved Greek mythology and I loved everything, so I thought I'd really, really like it. And I was just like, this is, I don't like this. So I returned it back to the library in like 6th grade, and I never picked it up again until I met Allison. I came over one day, and she
it
was
the first time you ever came
It was the
over. It was
first
for
time
my
I came
15th birthday.
Yeah, and we sat in the kitchen for 2.5 hours.
And I just rambled about
And
these
she
books.
went on about the Heroes of Olympus books for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
She's very capable of doing that.
Oh yes.
She could go longer.
I can go. I've
She
gone
had to reel it
longer.
in.
I had to censor myself. I had to censor myself. I had to censor myself a little bit there.
Yeah. So not only did I read HOO before PJO, which, I mean, there's a video all about that, which I made, like, what?
Link in the description.
Link. But yeah, so that was my experience reading. So I was just like, I just don't think it's a good starting point at all. It does not reflect accurately
What you're getting into.
Yeah, no, not at all.
When Rick was writing The Lightning Thief, his mind was that, okay, this is going to be for middle school students. This is supposed to be for 11 to 13-year-olds. So the book is very childish by nature. There isn't really a whole lot for adults to enjoy, or teenagers.
I just feel like there was something missing.
When it comes to recommending these books for people, I usually tell them to start with Heroes of Olympus, because I don't think that The Lightning Thief is a good book to get you hooked on it.
It's not an accurate representation
Of what you're getting into.
Nope, not at all. Hot take numero dos!
That's number 2 if you don't speak Spanish.
Yes. Grover's lame.
Yeah, you could.
Sorry.
You could go through the entire Percy Jackson Olympians series, and you could cut him out, and very little would change. In Sea of Monsters, they gotta go rescue him, but like, okay, they also needed to get the Golden Fleece, so like, he wasn't really necessary to that. I mean, what did he even do in Titan's Curse? He was there on the quest with them, but he didn't really contribute anything.
He's mostly there for comic relief, which is kind of weird because the humor that Rick has built for Percy is so like chef's kiss.
You have all the characters pulling the weight of the comedy and the upbeat lightheartedness, but yet there's still that one character who's the comic relief character. So
it's just like, why?
He has little purpose in the plot. He doesn't bring much on an emotional level.
No.
He's not really that funny or interesting. Yeah, Grover's lame.
Yeah.
Hot take number 3.
3.
Rachel has a bad ego, and it all started when she hit Kronos with that blue plastic hairbrush, and ever since then, she seems to think that she is up there with the other heroes. And I think this is especially apparent in Tower of Nero.
I haven't read Tower of Nero yet, so that's why I'm just letting her take it away.
Yeah, I have. She seems to think that she's on par with these other heroes. And I mean, she is useful.
She's the Oracle for Camp Half-Blood.
Yeah, and not only does she make prophecies, she also just has random flashes of the future. And that's very helpful to have along. But she seems to think that she's this hotshot warrior ever since she hit Kronos in the face with a hairbrush, which is pretty cool, but like...
And like, really? She could be, but there's no proof in the books thus far from Rick that she is capable of holding herself among these other heroes. You're not gonna get all the way through a battle with just a hairbrush. It's just not happening.
But she seems to think that she is hot stuff. Hot take number 4. People are too nice to Luke.
They're too nice.
Luke got a hero's death. He got proper burial rites like a hero. Percy was like, she was a hero.
Where?
And his legacy.
Where was he a hero?
And his legacy in the books is as a hero.
Yeah.
But he committed all these war crimes.
He literally committed war crimes.
He committed so many war crimes.
He betrayed the person who's trusted him literally since the day they were together. Like that's some serious shit, dude.
His heart was in the right place. I mean, he was like, the gods suck, and we
acknowledge this.
Yeah. We need new leadership. His motivation is not too bad.
Yeah, no.
But the things he does in this series are awful, and
They're terrible.
I mean, he sacrificed his life at the end of PJO. He sacrificed his life to save the world. But are we gonna acknowledge the fact that he was like kidnapping demigods and forcing them into slavery?
All y'all turn a blind eye to that.
I mean, look at Battle of the Labyrinth. Like, a big plot point in that is that they gotta keep Nico's parentage a secret because they will abduct his ass and force him to, like, do whatever. And
that kid was like 10.
11.
11. Sorry. Still.
Yeah. Also in Battle of the Labyrinth, they have that scene where they're in the arena and they show that they force their people to fight for entertainment, all gladiator style.
How can Luke sit there and be like, this is cool.
This is fine. The gods need to be overthrown.
So let me kill a bunch of people that trusted me.
Yeah, and do awful things. He did do a good thing in the end. He sacrificed his life and all that stuff. But don't act like he was this hero.
He was just a little messed up.
He had a sad childhood. So did everyone in
So did everyone.
Literally everyone.
Hot take number 5. Forgive Nico! Please! Leave him alone!
Leave him alone!
Stop bullying him! This goes hand in hand perfectly with Luke. Because
people forgive Luke.
People forgive Luke like that.
But
Nico has not. Oh my.
We're talking about one specific moment.
I'm so mad at you. Please, get your sources.
I need to explain the context of this scene in The Last Olympian that people get really salty about, because people seem to have a selective memory about what happened.
Yeah, seriously.
So Nico wanted information about his mother, so he said, Hades, hey, you know information about my mother, please tell me. And Hades said, no. Wait, never mind, I have an idea. How about this? How about you bring Percy down to my palace in the underworld, and in exchange, I'll give you information about your mother and your past. And Nico's like, that sounds sketchy. You're going to hurt him and kill him. And Hades is like, I promise I won't hurt him. And Nico's like, okay, so if he made a promise...
What else is an 11-year-old to do?
He's 12.
Oh, he's 12 now! Gee whiz.
And now... That's still very sketchy. He should not have believed his father about that.
No, but at the same time, this kid who's never had, anyone to trust, he's like, this is my father.
I should be able to trust him.
I should be able to trust my father.
Yeah.
And also, he said he's not gonna hurt him. Like, I wouldn't lead Percy willingly.
He promised he wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't lead Percy,
to his death.
To his doom.
Yeah. But Hades was like, yeah, I just want to talk to him. But of course... As we all know
what happens.
Nico, first of all, he tricks Percy into going to the underworld because he knew that Percy would not believe him, that Hades had no malintent, because Hades did have malintent. So he tricks Percy into going, and, which, once again, that's not cool.
No,
that's not
necessarily.
Cool.
It's no war crime.
Yeah. Anyways, they get down there, and Hades imprisons Percy, and it's like, oh yeah, I said I wouldn't hurt him, but... I can still lock him in a cell and not give him food or water. I'll check on him in, 60 years. It's all good. And Percy, to this day, is still salty about that.
He's still so salty about it.
And so many fans are still salty about that. So many fans are like, oh, Nico, he betrayed Percy. He's not to be trusted. He's a bad guy. And I'm like...
No! You're wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my...
It was not cool that he tricked Percy into going.
No.
And he should not have trusted his father.
No,
He should have had the good sense not to have believed Hades. But at the
he
same
was
time,
new to the whole demigod
thing. He was 12. He didn't know any better. He thought he could trust his father.
That's a 7th grader.
Yeah.
Think about it that way.
Yeah. So this is the scene when they find out that Nico has been captured and is going to die unless they go save him. Percy had a rocky history with Nico D'Angelo. The guy had once tricked him into visiting Hades' palace, and Percy had ended up in a cell. But most of the time Nico sided with the good guys. He certainly didn't deserve a slow suffocation in a bronze jar, and Percy couldn't stand seeing Hazel in pain. Percy, this should have been a no-brainer.
There should have been no well, I don't want Hazel to be sad, so let's save him.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's your reasoning? Not that he's a
not.
whole human being who deserves a life?
Yeah. And then when Jason and Leo were they're actually suggesting we should leave him to die.
Yeah.
Percy did not stand up for Nico.
No, not at all.
Percy didn't say anything.
No, he's just like...
He's like, you know... And the fact that that's how he feels about this incident. That was years ago, Percy.
Years ago!
What makes this a hot take is, I think, the fact that there's so many fans out there that are still salty at Nico for this.
Yeah, this is gonna sound, and you could feel free to cut this if you'd like, just as an
I'm
aside.
excited.
All the fans that are just like, absolute, like, die-hard, like, Percy worshippers, like, dick suckers, like, you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about, those people. The stans, the Percy stans, that are so like, he can do absolutely no wrong, he's perfect, anyone who even tries him, come fight me, you can die. All those people are like, fuck Nico D'Angelo. And I'm like, no, fuck y'all, because I am not about it.
Yeah.
I'm not here for it.
In this house, we love and respect Nico D'Angelo.
We love and respect that boy with all of our hearts and souls.
Nico's such a polarizing character. You either love him or you hate him.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people who dislike Nico, they either hate him, like you said, because they're Percy stans, or because they have never experienced the sort of isolation that Nico has. When people hate you just because of things that you can't help. People who are like, I don't understand why Nico acts out the way he does, why he pushes people away. Why does Nico complain about having no friends when he pushes people away? Because that's what happens when you're in that sort of situation. When you have abandonment issues, and you have trust issues, and you have all these issues, that's what happens. In this house, we love and respect Nico D'Angelo.
We love and respect him.
And so
much.
Please forgive him.
Forgive him. For the love of God,
Okay,
forgive him.
It wasn't okay what he did, but forgive him.
But
he does not deserve to die.
Well, not even that, but he deserves to be bare minimum forgiven and seen as the new person that he is. But at the same, how can you in one breath condemn Nico, but then put Luke on the pedestal? Exactly what we were talking about, which is why you put them back to back, because they're so they're so polarizing.
Nico committed no war crimes.
Where's the war crime?
Where are the war crimes?
Where are the war crimes?
Get the receipts.
I need receipts for war crimes that he
Yeah.
committed if you want to condemn him like that.
Number 6, I don't like the Kane Chronicles.
And I've had no desire to read them, so that's
She's never read them. I have.
I think that's some
indication.
Yeah.
I kind of like the first book. It's a nice jumping off point in the series. But after that, the adventures just aren't as memorable, the characters aren't as memorable, their relationships aren't as memorable. I like Sadie. And I like Bast. In the first book, Carter and Sadie, they go on an adventure with this cat woman named Bast, and she's really cool and interesting, has a cool backstory that relates to everything. Cool character.
Yeah.
And then, like, we never see her again.
Cool.
Except at the very end, where she has, like, a little cameo. She kind of shows up a little bit in the last book, but, like, she's just kind of traded out for, like, Coach Hedge 2.0.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Nobody likes Coach Hedge.
No one.
Let's just say it. Let's just say it. Nobody does. He's
Hot take
he's the worst.
6.5.
This isn't a hot take because nobody likes him. My main reasons for disliking Kane Chronicles, not as memorable, not as fun. Coach Hedge 2.0. They got rid of Bast. I'm upset about that.
And, like, they don't, like, that one feels the most disconnected to the whole Riordanverse.
Yeah.
Like, at least with, like, Magnus Chase, like, I mean,
there's
obviously,
crossover,
there's he's a Chase, like,
yeah.
you know, like,
Percy and Annabeth are in the last book.
yeah, there's, like, some sort of link.
There's even,
But
like,
it's also
references to the other books.
But it's also independent enough to hold its own.
Yeah.
But I just think Kane Chronicles is so independent that, like, it's like,
yeah.
it feels like a completely different world.
Yeah, aside from that one crossover book, there really isn't much there.
No.
And honestly, I remember very little of what happened in those books. I found them to be pretty boring. And honestly, what I think happened was Rick was writing Kane Chronicles at the same time as he was writing the Heroes of Olympus series. And I think his heart was just in Heroes of Olympus way more. And like, he started Kane Chronicles liking it, but then he got so into Heroes of Olympus that he kind of started slacking off.
Yeah,
on
he
Kane
backburners
Chronicles.
Kane Chronicles.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Hot take number 7 is that one of the 7 should have died in Blood of Olympus.
They should have. I'm like.
And I don't mean like Leo dying and coming back to life.
No, like they should have died and
died.
stayed dead.
Yeah.
Like killed them till they were dead. That kind of thing.
Like Jason.
Like.
We have a lot of issues with Blood of Olympus,
There's
but
so many issues with Blood of Olympus.
if you want to hear our Blood of Olympus rant, leave a comment down below.
Yeah, we could go off.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that we have about that. But I think the biggest hot take is that one of the 7 should have died, because there's so many people out there that get so upset when anybody dies. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you killed that Twig. That Twig was my favorite character, you know? But there's also some fans like us that are like, somebody should have legit died. It felt like
it felt kind of cheap. And obviously, like, I say that, but not wanting a single one of them to be dead.
No.
Like, because, and I would bawl my eyes out if one of them died and stayed dead.
But that's part of the experience.
But that's part of it, yeah.
In Trials of Apollo, when Jason died, that felt legit.
It felt, you felt every single one of, like, Piper's gasps and screams and cries. Like, you felt that so deep to your core because you grew to love that character, and then losing them. Well, he's dead now. It just ingrained you more with the story and with the
seeing other characters in grief too is really powerful. It's
a fantastic like motivator, and like speaking from a strictly like characteristic point.
And helps drive character development. Exactly. I mean, look at Apollo. He learns to value human life through something like that. There was precedent set in PJO. People died in that last book. Yeah. And so I think people were expecting something like that, some sort of catharsis, even if it's a sad one and a dark one.
Yes, it felt so cheap because it was literally like in the prophecy, like it had been building up that like we were already
emotionally
we were prepared to lose somebody. We didn't know who. It was very vague who they were going to lose.
It's simple setup and payoff.
Exactly.
The setup was there, but the payoff wasn't, and that was a pretty big setup.
That's a huge setup. That's one of your core cast getting killed off.
Just like emotionally preparing yourself, all for it to have been for nothing. It feels like you just got pranked, bro.
Yeah, literally. It feels like you like, oh, psych.
Nice. Number 8. In House of Hades, Frank got hot. And I don't like
it.
That.
I don't like it. Not that I don't like a hot Frank, because, you know.
Good for you.
Good for him.
Not that I don't like people getting in shape.
Yeah.
Good
work
for
on yourself.
you.
Actively better yourself. No worries.
But it's the way that it's paralleled with Frank's personal development as a character. Like,
it feels problematic.
It's problematic. So Hazel and other characters point out, oh yeah, Frank, with your transformation physically, it totally reflects. It's a metaphor for your transformation as a person. As you grow into a more confident person and grow into a leader, grow more into yourself, you have now become hot.
Yeah, and that to us, it just kind of feels like to be those things, a great leader, confident, you need to have the look to go with it. And that's not true at all. I mean, look at Apollo. He's an ugly, pimply teen.
Yeah. And already in our culture, we live in a society after all.
We live in a society.
You see attractiveness correlated so much with heroism and being a complete person. Yep. And the fact that it was magically induced too. Yeah. If there had been a subplot in the books where Frank was working on his weight, where he started working out and it also happened to parallel with his growth as a character, I would have been all into that.
Yeah,
but
because that's like a paralleling uphill climb.
Yeah, but the fact that once he becomes this great leader, then his dad's like, you're hot now.
You can be hot. You're welcome.
It sends the message that to be a great leader, to be a heroic person, to be a role model, you gotta be that.
You gotta look a certain way and act a certain way.
Yeah, and it further reinforces that link.
Yeah.
That kind of toxic link.
Yeah, it's kind of toxic because, I mean, obviously in the year 2020, we are all about body positivity.
Well, I mean, this book came out in 2013.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is maybe this is just us looking at it from a different viewpoint.
But it's weird, because Frank was created to be a body positive character. Yeah. And Son of Neptune, when he's introduced, he's the fat, chubby guy who still is this great character and this great hero.
Yeah, and then it just blown up.
Yeah. Like I said, if there would have been a subplot where he started working out, eating healthy, and became hot the normal way. Yeah. All into that. That's great.
Cool. Good for him.
Yeah. Great inspirational story. But the fact that he magically got poofed into hot boy because he became a leader, that ain't cool. Number 9. Commodus is the best villain in the Riordanverse.
What? You're gonna have to explain this one. This is all her, so I'm just gonna... Yeah. These reactions are genuine. I have no idea what she's about to say.
When we were brainstorming about Rick Riordan Hot Takes, I said, Commodus is the best villain in the Riordanverse, and she said, what?
Exactly like I just did 5 seconds ago.
And so we decided that I would not share with her my reasoning.
No, because I want to know, but like I want it to be genuine what I'm learning.
This is a genuine reaction to why I think Commodus is the best villain in the Riordanverse.
I have a theory about why I think you feel that way because of the prior link to Apollo. But besides that, that's all the further my analysis and theory goes. So take it away because I'm curious.
All the greatest villains out there have some sort of great link to their characters thematically, story-wise, emotionally, whatever. You look at Gaia. She killed Leo's mom.
That's personal.
Yeah, she killed Hazel.
Oh, Bruno.
Oh yeah. So she has a link to some of the characters, but as a character herself, she's not really that interesting of a character. She's just this sleeping lady who wants to be awake and loves her babies. She's not a very interesting character. Kronos isn't a very interesting character. What is Kronos' motivation? He's like, I want to take over the world because my kids overthrew me, so I want to take it back. Cool. That's pretty standard villain motivation.
Standard villain thing.
Yeah. What has Kronos personally done to Percy and his friends, other than like on a personal level? What is his link to them? Nero's pretty cool because he has that link to Meg, and I'll come back to that later. Python, I totally forgot that Python was a villain until
until Burning Maze. I was like, who?
It felt weird that he was the final antagonist of the entire Tribes of Apollo series because he really is pretty disconnected from it.
Yeah.
But then we get to Commodus. Commodus was Apollo's ex-boyfriend. He represents what Apollo used to value, what he used to be. It represents his prior mistakes and his shortcomings as a person. Commodus is a dark shadow of Apollo.
Yeah.
By killing him, he is killing that dark shadow of himself. It's classic writing 101. But it's also very emotionally powerful. How they went from lovers to enemies like that. Apollo killed the man he
literally
loved.
strangled him.
He drowned him in his own bathwater. That's crazy, bro.
That's crazy.
Now, Nero, I'd say, is pretty close second.
Where does Loki fall on your scale?
Oh, Loki? What was his deal? He's just chaos
Loki.
boy.
He's just chaos.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Alex.
Yeah, she's got a link to Alex, but I don't like villains that are evil because it's in their nature in some way. Loki is naturally mischievous and always trying to cause trouble.
And I think that's what's really interesting about not making Hades a villain ever.
Yeah.
Because even like in like the animated Disney Hercules, Hades is the villain because it's just a given. Oh, Hades is the god of the underworld, bad, death, evil. That's something I really, really appreciate with Percy Jackson is Rick Riordan's portrayal of Hades. Yeah. But that's just a little
and how death is not inherently bad or evil, but it's a natural part of life. I think that's a big thing that Nico's story tells us through these books. When you examine like each book, and especially in Battle of the Labyrinth, I've come to love Battle of the Labyrinth as I've gotten older, as it being this very thematically rich story about coming to terms and accepting death. But anyways, back to Commodus.
Yeah.
Nero is not as strong of a villain to me because there isn't as much vulnerability, I don't think. I think he's just pure bad guy. But Commodus, while he is a pretty bad guy...
Yeah, he's like chaotic as well.
Yeah. You could argue it's somewhat in his nature to be this bad guy. It's in his upbringing, all that sort of stuff. The fact that his beef with Apollo is so personal. He loved Apollo. He trusted Apollo, and Apollo killed him. He betrayed him. This brings into focus Apollo's past mistakes, his callousness for people, for relationships, and he just works as the ultimate perfect villain in the Riordanverse, I think. Yeah, that's a hot take.
I agree with your hot take, actually.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm
so glad we can agree on this.
Yeah. Don't
calm down, R2. Okay, hot take number 10. This is one that I don't know if this is...
I brought it up to you, and you were like,
and now I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
All the information that we get in the Trials of Apollo series about what they need to do next or whatever is so convenient. It's literally just like handed to them on a silver platter.
Yeah. In Trials of Apollo, if they need information about what to get, what to find, who to look for, what to do, literally anything, or
there's
exposition, any sort of thing like that.
There's some prophecy or random piece of information just dropped casually.
Yeah, either they find out through a dream, Apollo randomly remembers it, they run into somebody
I love
who
that
knows.
Apollo just randomly, oh wait, I remember the exact species of this.
Yeah, he just randomly remember, they'll get a dream, they'll get a prophecy, somebody will show up who already knows everything. This is especially apparent in Tyrant's Tomb, where...
Again, not there yet.
Literally, the whole book, they're like, what do we do now? And Ella's like, I just remembered a prophecy that will tell you what to do. Or Apollo's like, what do we do now? Where do we find the bad guys? And then he goes to sleep, and the dream just tells him. It's especially apparent when he just randomly remembers things.
Yeah. Like,
and it's too convenient. You compare that to something like Heroes of Olympus, they had to work for everything.
Every little thing that they got was hard earned.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at House of Hades for a hot sec. They begin with running into Hecate, and Hecate's like, you gotta go to Bologna to get a book. Wait, let me rewind. They run into Hecate, and Hecate's like, you guys are going to the House of Hades, so in order to get through and survive, you need to know information, and that information is known by Triptolemus, the farmer god, in Venice, but he won't give that information to you willingly, so you gotta get something for him in return. So you gotta go get his almanac from some dwarves in Bologna. So they're like, okay, cool, and then they go to Bologna, they get the book to give to the guy, they give it to the guy, but he's like, this isn't enough, I want more. So Frank is like, how about I fix your chariot? I'll get you a brand new snake for your snake-powered chariot. So he calls up his dad, Mars, and he's like, hey Mars, can I get a python? And Mars is like, I don't just give people pythons. You gotta work for that. So he says, how about you kill every single cow monster in the city? And Frank's like, bro, there's like 300.
That's a lot of cow monsters.
There's like 300 of them. And Mars is like, that sounds like a you problem.
That's all you, bud.
So then Frank has to kill all the cow monsters so that he can get the snake to give to the farmer god and give him the book so they can get the information about the House of Hades.
That's just the first part of the book.
Yeah, that's just the first little
That's just
chunk.
for the information on the House of Hades. That's not actually anything remotely. Basically, if you didn't like go through 5 different hoops in the House of Hades or in any of the Heroes of Olympus books, you weren't gonna get shit from anybody.
No, they're like, we gotta get the scepter of Diocletian. They go down to get the scepter, and like Favonius, the West Wind, is there, and he's like, hey bro, I'm not giving it to you. And they're like, okay, what do we gotta do to get it? And he's like, how about you go talk to my boss, Cupid, the god of love? And then Nico's like, oh no.
No.
I see where
and then
this
we
is
all
going.
know what happens
We
next.
all know what happens next. So Cupid's like, okay, you gotta come out, tell me about your secret crush, and that's the only way you're gonna get that gosh darn scepter of Diocletian. They need that scepter to get through the House of Hades. Once again, another thing that they need to get.
They're not even at the House of Hades yet.
And the reason they're going to House of Hades is to close the doors and to save Percy and Annabeth. Everything in these books is you gotta find the thing to get the thing to save the thing to do the thing and get the thing and find the thing and save the thing. Everything is won through a struggle. But then you have Trials of Apollo.
And it's just, everything is just so, here you go.
I mean, they have to work for some things.
Yeah.
But like, for the most part,
it's pretty much handed to them.
Yeah.
Pretty easily, whether it be through Apollo's, I suddenly remember. And he's always like, oh, this gosh darn mortal brain never remembering everything. Remembers everything anyway.
Yeah.
Hot take number 11, because we got to stop talking about number 10 because we keep going forever.
Yeah. And especially considering how number 12, we're going to be rambling about number 12 for a while. It's a lot.
Just a heads up.
It's a lot.
Just be prepared.
Look down at the timeline and you can see there's still a big chunk of video left.
So number 11 is stop forcing Percabeth into every single book.
Yeah.
Give them a break. They're tired.
There's so many people that are like, we want more Percy and Annabeth. We want more. We want more. And I'm like, really? If Rick had decided to organically work their characters into things, that'd be one thing. But they just seem so shoehorned in.
Yeah, they're literally like, oh, need a Percabeth cameo.
It just seems like he's fulfilling an obligation. And it feels so forced and uncomfortable. I love Percy and Beth as much as the next Riordan head, but if I had to choose between getting a standalone one-off book about Percy and Annabeth going on another adventure, or getting something about Will and Nico, or the Hunters of Artemis, or Leo and the Way Station, I would choose any of those other ones because we've had so much Percabeth content.
That I do agree with.
Yeah.
Given the choice between the two, I would rather read a standalone of somebody else because we do have a lot of content. Like,
so
like
much.
I love when they appear. It's always like, oh, it's Percy and Annabeth. But
and
like,
it's kind of like
but
Rick's run out of stuff to do with them.
Yeah.
And there's so much more you can
and
expand
even like
on
it's
with
kind of
other
like
characters.
Yeah. And even Rick kind of touched on it himself in a weird, nuanced way in Hidden Oracle when Percy's like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I've done my time.
And I think Rick doesn't want to do that anymore. I think Rick is tired of writing about these same two characters. He wants to write about other characters.
He wants to explore other
like
people.
Like I was saying before, there isn't much more to add about Percy and Annabeth. There really isn't much more to add, but look at somebody like Leo or Nico, and they have a lot more to add, or Raina.
There's still so much we don't know about everybody else, and I feel like we just know Percy and Annabeth so well, it just feels forced.
So number 12, I put up 2 fingers, but you can imagine. Something like that. Jason, Piper, not good. We don't like them.
Let me preface this before you get too angry at us. We like them in Trials of Apollo.
Oh yeah, yeah, we like them in Trials of Apollo.
But anything before that, no bueno.
Yeah, not that good in Heroes of Olympus. So let's start with Piper, okay? I've given my Piper rant in the top 11 Rick Riordan plot holes video. Piper has no excuse. But let me just return to that because I have more points to add. In The Lost Hero, Piper, she's excused from being kind of not the most helpful. She hasn't had experience, practicing her charm speak or with any sort of combat, so I kind of like her. And like Lost Hero, she's pretty fine. She's pretty okay. Not the most interesting character, but she's passable. But then in Mark of Athena, she comes in there. She had 6 months to prepare for this big quest. She knew what was happening. She spent those 6 months at Camp Half-Blood, a camp for demigods to teach them to use their powers and to train in combat and such. And she shows up in Mark of Athena, and she has just made zero progress.
Zero progress.
She has a knife that she doesn't know how to use, and she complains about, oh, I feel so useless. I'm like, you can mind control people.
Yeah, then actively better your...
Yeah, she's like, I feel so useless in combat scenes. I'm like, okay, then learn how to fight.
Learn how to fight if you feel
Something
useless.
that she doesn't do until, like, halfway through House of Hades. Book 4. It takes her till halfway through book 4 to say, you know what? Maybe I should learn some combat skills. She complains about having no good combat skills and being useless in combat.
But doesn't actually, like, try to be better. She's just like, this sucks.
And,
okay.
And I want to get back to that knife thing. There's several moments in Mark of Athena where, for instance, after they fight the big shrimp monster, Leo, Hazel, and Frank, they all gone missing, and everyone's trying to fix things. The ship is in wrecks. So everyone's either trying to fix the ship or look for Frank and Hazel. And Piper, she's complaining like, oh, I'm stuck here looking into my dagger that shows miscellaneous visions of the future. I'm so useless.
I'm so useless. I can literally see probably what's gonna happen, and I can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't do anything with that?
And it's been shown in these books that when she really concentrates, she can control what she sees. And I'm like, okay, so hold up. You are a girl with, first of all, you have the power to mind control people. That's very helpful. Second, you have a dagger that shows you visions of the future. And if you really focus, you can control what you see of these visions of the past, present, and future. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
But does she practice this? No. There's another scene in Mark of Athena where Percy's like, hey, so Nico, he's about to die. We don't know where he's at. We gotta save him. And Piper, we could really use your help. Could you look into that dagger of yours and maybe try to figure something out? And she's like, I don't want to look because I might see something scary. And I'm like, really? Are you kidding me?
That's your justification?
And Percy's like begging with her to like help. And Piper very reluctantly is like, fine. Because she was
if
afraid
I have to predict the future for you.
Yeah, help save your friend.
We've talked about this before, but she has so much potential.
Oh, she does.
And it's just so untapped in HOO.
Yeah, the big problem with her is that she does not take the initiative enough. And she complains about being useless when she does not put in the effort to actually...
to be useful.
Yeah. Now let's move on over to Jason.
He's hyped up to be this fantastic hero.
This great warrior, this great leader.
Great leader of Rome, but there's no evidence.
Very little evidence.
Very little evidence.
There's very little evidence. I'd recommend y'all check out Polandbananasbooks' review on House of Hades because she breaks this down.
I don't understand how people cannot make fun of Jason. Towards the beginning of the book, we have this whole dwarf situation. Leo takes off after them with Jason. 5 seconds into this fight, who's hanging upside down? down from a trap. Jason, we have this turtle situation. And Jason, he jumps on the turtle and tries to stab him with the sword, which does nothing. And he flies back to the ship. On the way, manages to lose his weapon. So we get our first Jason chapter, 240 pages in. And the first line of his chapter, Jason fell asleep on the job. Of course he did. Classic Jason. And you read on, and you see that he's blacked out. But then you keep reading, and you see that he blacked out because he was fighting these veggies that he fights all the time. He forgot to hold his breath. So, fail. Classic Jason. Classic Jason. Keelman Snow Bitch shows up. 5 seconds into this argument, Jason's a popsicle. I don't care, everyone else turned into popsicles. Everyone else wasn't up there with Pipper. Moments before this happened, Pipper's like, Jason, go get the wildfire. Oh my god, she's coming. What? What's going on? Doesn't run to get the wildfire, just stays there and turns into a popsicle. And then later on in the book, he started reflecting back on this popsicle experience. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I was a popsicle in that one fight. Jason, you're always a popsicle during the fights. I don't know why this time is such a surprise to you. Admit it to yourself. He's the klutz of the demigod community.
When you look at what Jason does, he's not very helpful.
No.
But he still has in his head that I am this great leader and warrior, and everybody else just seems to believe it. And it's bizarre.
Everyone just agrees with it. And it's like, do you not see the flaws that we see?
There's this dissonance there.
Yeah, exactly. And like, he has his moments, of course, where you're like,
Yeah.
that was cool. Why can't you do that more often? For every like 9 times he fricks up, he has one time where he like kills it, and then because of that that 10% of the time, he's automatically this great hero. Like, I'm sure before Hera wiped his memories, he did some cool stuff.
I'm sure.
But we have absolutely no evidence of that.
It's a classic case of show, don't tell.
Exactly.
You know, Rick just kind of said, Jason is this great hero, and all the other characters said, Jason is a great hero, and Jason said, I'm a great hero.
Apparently, I'm a great hero.
And Rick just trusts that we'll just accept that, but he doesn't really give enough evidence of this. And especially when there's scenes where Piper saves him.
Yeah.
Like, whenever Piper saves him, he's like, wow, you saved me. How subversive. And I'm like, this isn't subversive.
It's not. This is a recurring item.
Yeah.
Piper does most of the saving, and they're like, wow, this is subversive. Girl saves guy. It's like, it's not subversive when it's the majority of the time.
Yeah. And Jason and Piper's relationship was never that good to begin with.
Because it was fabricated from the beginning with Hera.
I don't think that's the worst part of it.
Yeah,
It'd be one thing if like their relationship started off as being forced, but they actually really fell for each other. That'd be one thing, you know? It's a classic rom-com setup. Instead, their relationship feels more like two friends who find each other attractive.
Yeah.
If you look at Percy and Annabeth,
that's love.
That's love. You look at Frank and Hazel, they act like an old married couple.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Even like Leo and Calypso in their very dysfunctional way. In their own dysfunctional way, that feels like
it's
love.
genuine.
Yeah. But Jason and Piper, they just kind of feel like friends who think each other is hot.
And they're kind of just with each other because they were told they were with each other.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. And so many people, they looked at the Burning Maze and they were like, why they break up? And I'm like,
there was nothing there to begin with.
Yeah. And I feel like that's Rick, like, backtracking. I think he realized that he did not write them all that well.
Yeah. I feel like Rick did a lot of correcting in Burning Maze.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the whole Trust of Apollo series.
Yeah. And it's just so unfortunate, though, that just as Jason was starting to actually get good, it's like...
But that's what I love about Tribes of Apollo. They revisit a lot of the themes, characters, all that sort of stuff from the past, and with a more critical look. They look at Leo and Calypso's relationship. At the end of Blood of Olympus, they fly off into the sunset, and it's kind of implied that they just rode off in the sunset and lived happily ever after, but then you see that, wait, no, actually, they didn't.
Yeah.
Things aren't that simple. Or even with Nico, like, at the end of Blood of Olympus, they're like, oh, he came out, and now he has an implied new boyfriend, and then he'll live happily ever after. But no, he still has depression and anxiety and PTSD.
Understandably so, of course.
And while things are better, he's not out of the woods yet. No. You know, things just don't disappear like that.
That's the thing is, Allison and I were talking about this earlier, how, like, this was one of the ones we kind of cut a little bit, or kind of lumped it into this one, is that a lot of the couples in, like, everyone needed to be with somebody. Yeah. Like, in order to have, like, a well-rounded story and, like, a complete story, they needed to end up with somebody. Yeah. That's not realistic.
Yeah. You can be a complete person while still being single. It's not
like, Allison kind of gave the example earlier, like, Raina, exactly. Like, they kind of left her on an open leaf because they were like, oh, well, she doesn't have a love interest, so we'll get back to her.
Yeah, they even left us with that little prophecy.
Yeah.
Whereas Aphrodite told her, you will never find love with another demigod. And Piper's like, look, that probably just means you'll find love with someone else who's not a demigod, maybe like a satyr or a mortal or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's implied at the end of the book that
she will find love.
So everybody by the end of Beloved Olympus either is in a romantic relationship or is, like Reyna, implied to be there, because her story can't be complete until she has love.
Obviously.
Literally, every character by the end of the book has a love interest.
Even Coach Hedge has a love interest.
Yeah, and Reyna,
Jesus.
and Reyna, the only character who doesn't have a love interest, is implied to get one eventually, soon, someday. But in Trials of Apollo, they kind of backtrack on
They
that.
do, exactly, and they fix that because that's not realistic.
It also sends the message to kids that in order to be a complete person, you need to be in a romantic relationship, and that's a really toxic message to send. Back to the video. Yeah.
And it can be argued, of course, like, oh, well, it was a stressful situation, so they didn't have time to think about, was this relationship good for my mental health?
Yeah.
Because, you know, they had other priorities like Gaia and stuff like that. But I'm glad that Trials of Apollo exists to correct those types of things. And I feel like
even the Frank Hot thing, he's chubbed up a little bit. He's gained that weight back.
Thank goodness.
Thank God. Which is realistic, because I mean, if you suddenly
exactly.
got turned hot, that's not going to change your eating habits or
no,
your
not at
habits
all.
when it comes to physical activity. That's not going to change things. I love Frank. He deserves hot take. Frank and Hazel deserve more love and attention from Rick and the fan base.
Bonus hot take.
So thank y'all for joining. I love you all. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, happy. Love you all. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.